Hey, let's jump into the next segment of our show, which we call the flip, where we argue, have a fake argument, take plural,
Simulated.
simulated article, sorry, simulated debate, taking very polarizing positions. Let's dive in. Hey, looks like I won or lost. I guess I'm going to be debating that it's absolutely brilliant. Apple moving away from Apple Intelligence is absolutely brilliant for a couple of reasons. If you look at just one of the reasons why people keep going back to Apple, it's because of trust. Okay, and you have to give the company credit that even though it's absolutely lost in AI and the valuation of the company has been flogging, even though you could argue they're the number one consumer company out there with the number one brand, right? What they can't do is they can't destroy that. Okay, so what they're doing is just absolutely brilliant. And the other reason it's brilliant is because, and we've discussed this on the show before, is timing, right? Like, when do they actually have to bring in the best on device AI when they can have cloud AI through um, OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Perplexity, or somebody like that? And there's really not something to compare it against. Somebody who's gaining market share, who's winning users by nailing on device AI. I think you and I are both very optimistic about on device AI, but really the heat is cloud based AI, which Apple is available to do anything on. And, they're finding new ways to increase their revenue and profits through increased vertical integration with modems, with Wi Fi, with Bluetooth. I think the number of Apple chips in that iPhone Air is 14, which is absolutely an amazing accomplishment. So yeah, they're sticking to their knitting until the technology gets better. Maybe until a competitor actually starts taking market share away from them. So I think the pivot's a brilliant move, Daniel.
Yeah, I agree with you that they're sticking to their knitting, and I'll agree with you that it's because they don't know how to do AI. They've clearly lost their best researchers. They're leaving and fleeing because they know the future is going to be elsewhere. It's not going to be at Apple. Apple trades at 29 times forward earnings. So does Nvidia. If I was putting a dollar to work right now, who would I be betting on? And the silly people will say, "Well, Apple has 2.2 billion install users. That's great, but you know what device companies trade at? 15 times, not 29 times. So Apple might be 2 times too expensive right now for a company that can't do AI. But its valuation up to this point has been formed on the fact that there was an expectation that they were A, going to be able to make this pivot, and B, they were going to be able to do so with those 2.2 billion. What I saw was basically a cowering, a
Yeah.
climbing back into their turtle shell, a running away from their vision, and basically a full admittance in public of absolute failure, catastrophic failure in this particular category. And sure, I've made the argument in public that they have the longest runway out of any company to get AI right. But the fact that they actually just quit on it, and you had bulls all over the market talking about Apple Intelligence, guess what? It sucked. And then it sucked some more. And now, you know what Apple's solution has been? We're going to go to Google and we're going to stick Gemini on the phone. We're going to go to OpenAI. We're going to stick ChatGPT. What happens when the handset and the device is no longer the future? Qualcomm gets it. It's
Yeah.
moving into XR. It's moving into devices that are not handsets. It's in fact talking less and less about it. And what does Apple do? It doubles, triples down on the past. Well, I guess if you like the strategy of companies like Blockbuster, Kodak, and you like BlackBerry, then you should like Apple. And that would be a great investment for your future. But if you actually see where this is all going and you know that there's a future where us and our assistants are going to basically be robotically intertwined in a simulate in a fully a singular environment, then you realize that right now this may be the most expensive Apple will ever be and ever can be. And the only super cycle that might come is that one more cycle because about every 4 years they happen to get one out of just sheer luck of people refreshing their devices, but it has nothing to do with innovation and just everything to do with the fact that people's iPhone 12s and 13s have batteries that last about long enough for them to take a dump, and then they have to go and charge their phones again, so they're going to get a new one. To
Yeah.
me, it's a failure. It's catastrophic. It's existential. They fix this. They cannot abandon AI. It's over, Rover. Apple shat the bed. It's all over the bed.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty good. So I think we probably agree with each other here, but it is sad to see a company like Apple just not be able to figure it out. Because if there's one company who should be able to figure out, it's this company.
Dude,
And yeah,
dude. I mean, but how do you just climb back in your shell and like pretend it didn't happen? I mean, how do you like literally not even talk about it? Was it even mentioned? Was it
it
even
was. It
like
was.
what once?
There were two or three features that were brought up, but it did not have its own segment.
I mean, God.
And the people who actually understand Apple are saying that, well, this is the hardware event, not the software event. And it's like, folks, we're talking about experiences here. Is Apple an experience company? And is Apple Intelligence part of the experience? They did point out a few features, but there's just nothing amazing. This was absolutely hardware first. It's all they had to bring.
Yeah. Well, it is what it was, but it was not the most amazing, life changing, game changing. It literally felt like an Apple event from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. Like I said, I give the runway. They can still get this right. They may be kind of climbing into a bit of a dark hole, figuring out their plans and going forward. They did lose some of the heads of their AI lab to other
I mean,
companies.
it's like a weekly occurrence,
Yeah. So, I guess my point is like, Qualcomm trades at 13 times forward and has actual innovation in autonomy and robotics. And I know they're not exactly the same. Qualcomm provides the chips that other people put in, but I'm just saying, like, if you're looking at betting at who can make a pivot right now, I'm just like, what does an HP trade at? What does a Dell trade at? Because that's what they're becoming, is a hardware company. It's like, we're a hardware company, like we're the coolest one, so maybe there's a premium on that, but it's not. They don't have an NVIDIA growth path. They don't have that anyway. So if
Does
I'm
that,
putting a
does that,
dollar,
let me ask you this, how much does that matter if they're priced within range? And I think your point is that NVIDIA is it the forward PE or the PE?
well, it's the forward PE. The forward PE and NVIDIA and them is the same right now, which is crazy to me. And by the way, their forward PE is higher than Google by a lot. Even after Google got its sort of break and went up, like Google was at 20. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of doubt around the future of how they're going to innovate. And yet, it's a safety net. It's a div stock. They're going to spend hundreds of billions buying it back, which provides some safety for institutions. But these are the least innovative things you can do. This is what old companies do to preserve value, not what innovative companies do to create value. And so again, I'm just maybe I don't understand Apple, but I don't understand Apple.